So listen, I haven't been as close to this case as everyone else. But what I've been hearing people say is, and what prompted me to want to look into this tonight is the case of mistaken identity and how much money is already being, like this whole situation. I thought with what I heard, and that's foolish of me of just always or listening to the media all the time. I should have started looking into it myself to see what's going on. But I thought this was open and shut, over with. But boy, have I been wrong. It seems like this thing is just getting started. Let's check it out.
The young man charged with murdering Brian Thompson was never a client of United Healthcare, but this morning police say they're investigating whether Luigi Mangione targeted the company because of its size. The company tells ABC News Brian Thompson's killer was not a member of United Healthcare. The NYPD telling NBC New York Mangione did, however, mention it's the 5th largest corporation in America.
We anticipate that before very long, he'll be brought back to New York, where he needs to be facing the consequences of that horrific, audacious attack on the streets of New York City.
Police sources tell ABC News at least 3 search warrants have been issued for the alleged shooter's phone, backpack, and the Manhattan hostel where he stayed. And sources tell us prosecutors have started presenting evidence to a grand jury, seeking an indictment that could strengthen their case for Mangione's extradition from Pennsylvania. A judge set a hearing for December 30th. For now, Mangione's locked in a cell nearly identical to this one. His supporters are donating tens of thousands of dollars to online legal defense funds, including one set up anonymously on Give, Send, Go. The group saying we are not here to celebrate violence, but we do believe in the constitutional right to fair legal representation. In Seattle, this chilling message appeared briefly on a road sign threatening other CEOs, the city blaming a private construction contractor. And a Florida one.
Now, it seems to me that they have their mindset is this is who did it. This is the person responsible, right? But it's so many people that I've been seeing saying, and I don't know if it's because they wanted something, you know what I mean, to happen to somebody, which God forbid somebody wanting something to happen to somebody because you have a disagreement on how much you're paying for healthcare and different things, or whatever you're paying, or what type of plans are being offered, whatever the case is, you know what I mean? That should never come at the expense of no one's life. Let's be adults here at the same time. So that should never be the case, you know. But again, a lot of people, based off of that video that I just saw just then, I couldn't see a face. Now, then they showed that other video and you could kind of see, but I still don't know how they made that out. So I'm anxious to see how they came to such a conclusion so fast that it was him.
Woman charged with threatening her insurance company after it denied her claim. In a phone call, Brianna Boston allegedly said, "Delay, deny, depose. You people are next," echoing the words police say were written on the shooter's bullets. And that woman later told police that she posed no danger to anyone and did not own a gun. But Diane, it really goes to show how this entire case has touched a nerve across the country and revealed a deep discontent, even anger, with the whole health insurance industry.
And insult the intelligence of the American people at the time experience.
Luigi Mangione yelled at reporters as he was walked into court by police in Pennsylvania late last night. The 26-year-old was officially charged with murdering Brian Thompson in Midtown Manhattan. He's also facing separate charges in Pennsylvania.
Mangione was arrested at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania on Monday. Altoona police released these photos from that McDonald's taken from a police body camera. Officers said that he began to shake when they asked if he had recently spent time in New York City. But New York City's police commissioner also said on the Today Show this morning his name was not on their radar.
Well set. Congratulations. Thank you. The people in our lives, especially our parents and teachers, had such huge roles as well. The parents here today, first off, sending us to Gelman was far from a small financial investment. I'd like to personally thank each of you for sending your sons here, as I can't imagine the class of 2016 without any one of these men on stage. Further, thank you for all the time and love you've put into our lives. You've instilled values in us, fed and clothed us, and simply been there for us every step of the way. Just like we've done these past few years, we'll be exploring the unknown, whether that be attending colleges across the country, traveling the world during gap years, or fulfilling military service in foreign countries. As we embrace the new, however, we won't forget the old. Our friendships, values, and memories from Gilman will always stay with us. So, to the class of 2016, a kind of class that only comes around once every 50 years. It's been an incredible journey, and I simply can't imagine the last few years with any other group of guys.
Wow. Wow. To hear a valedictorian speech from a guy right now currently in this situation is just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. You know what I mean? And then to hear the countless people saying this doesn't add up, this doesn't add up, and then you listen to this and you're like, what happened? If he's truly the person that did it, what happened? What went wrong? You know, I get the anger. I get the obvious, the anger, the frustration. You know what I mean? What people go through healthcare and different situations and stuff. I get that. Trust me, I get that for sure, for sure.
Investigators said Thursday that they believe Luigi Mangione was not a client ever of United Healthcare, but instead they believe that the company was targeted because it is the largest health insurance in the United States. Additional evidence also found that by police suggests that Mangione knew that United Healthcare was hosting its annual investor conference in New York before the shooting. And yesterday, the NYPD says that they believe Mangione, hear this, traveled back down to Midtown Manhattan after initially fleeing the scene all the way uptown. Authorities say that after biking through Central Park and taking a taxi to a bus station up at the George Washington Bridge, Mangione actually took the subway back Midtown, just a mile away from where the shooting happened, and there boarded a train to Philadelphia. Meanwhile, the Manhattan District Attorney's Office has started presenting evidence to a grand jury to try to bring Mangione back to New York, and an extradition hearing was announced for December 30th. He also has one on December 23rd. That means that Mangione could be back in New York by perhaps the end of the year. Investigators said Thursday that
if you were to ask Americans, you know, whether or not the health care in this country is excellent or good, less than a third say that the coverage is excellent or good.
People are responsible for their own actions, but this murder doesn't happen without the greater context of resentment, distrust in institutions.
The meeting of the Security Council is called to order.
The breakdown in trust has been going on for 2 decades.
The purpose of that resolution was to disarm Iraq of its weapons of mass destruction.
It started with the Iraq War. There were no weapons of mass destruction. It worsened with the financial crisis and the bailout of the banks. Well, normal people lost their homes. It was like the emperor has no clothes. It's when they realized that the institutions did not have the answers that they thought they would.
It leads to frustration, and more than that, it leads to hopelessness. And when you have hopelessness, actions that cannot be tolerated, at least in some corners of the country, are tolerated. The viewpoints towards the healthcare industry are so negative in this country that folks were willing to look past the fact that a father and a husband was shot dead.
That's what you're seeing. That's what I'm seeing online right now. They're looking past, a lot of people are looking past the incident that took place and are rallying behind this guy because they feel like he stood up for the little guy. You know what I mean? Again, doesn't make it right. But a lot of people are rallying around him. That's why they're saying, you know, some people are saying, well, you ain't got clear video, or he can't even ride a bike. Like, I've seen all kind of different crazy comments of people saying, you know, he was at my house, it wasn't him. And do you have proof? And we're gonna raise money, and we're gonna get him an attorney right now. Because people have been felt like they haven't been heard. And here comes this guy. And is it like, I don't know, is it like justice? What type of justice is this for? You know, you get what I'm saying?
Listen, I haven't seen any evidence that says that he's the shooter. So that's, you know, like I said earlier, and I wasn't kidding around. A couple of things. If you're going to report something, report accurately. And remember, and this is not just a small thing, the fundamental concept of American justice is a presumption of innocence, and until you're proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And I've seen zero evidence at this point. and so I'm not even aware of what any charges.
I'm sorry, that's just...
Listen, I haven't seen it.
Tonight, the fight to extradite Luigi Mangione to New York intensifying. This week, a grand jury could be asked to hand up an indictment against the man accused of murdering United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson.
We expect that to be issued any day now, and at the second that happens, I'm issuing a warrant for extradition.
The possible indictment intended to strengthen the Manhattan District Attorney's case for extradition by making the charges official, as questions remain about whether Mangione will go willingly or fight it.
We're going to continue to press forward on parallel paths, and we'll be ready.
In a Pennsylvania court this week, Mangione's attorney vowed to challenge extradition. But in the days since, high-power New York defense attorney Karen Friedman Agnifilo has joined the team and declined to comment on the matter. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections says a team of New York attorneys visited Mangione on Friday. Tonight, the fight...
What about his Brian Thompson's family throughout all of this? Let's send thoughts and prayers to them because they're still dealing with this. I was thinking about that too, with all of this stuff being thrown around and the hate that's going on and how people feel and this and that and the third. You still have a family with a loss, man. And I know how mean people can get around those times when they feel a certain way, even if it's a CEO that they feel like he did people wrong for so many years and this, that, and the third. Like, they'll start taking it out on that person's family who had nothing to do. They was just, you know what I mean, guilty by association with them. So let me just stop for a second and be the adult and send love and light, thoughts and prayers to that family. Whew, I can only imagine.
We knew this morning that the person of interest had gotten into a bus about a half an hour after he carried out the attack, and we didn't know where he went. But earlier today, Altoona police got a call from a local McDonald's that somebody that matched the description that they had seen on the news was actually there eating inside the McDonald's. The local police came quickly, apprehended him, brought him in for questioning. What did they find? A ghost gun with a silencer, a gun capable of firing a 9mm round. That's all we can report at this time. In addition to that ghost gun, also a fake New Jersey ID, the same one that the person of interest used to check into the hostel. Also, a 3-page handwritten manifesto listing grievances against the healthcare industry. All of this, when you pull this together with the monopoly money found in the backpack, the words deny, delay, and depose written on the bullet casings that were recovered at the scene, all this points to a motive, a person angry about the healthcare insurance industry. This is a young man here, 26 years old, a Penn graduate. That's the University of Pennsylvania, an Ivy League school. His most recent address was in Hawaii, but he graduated from Penn in 2020. He grew up in the Baltimore area. This is someone of a privileged background, well-educated. So this will be sending shockwaves across those communities at that time.
Well, I'm sure you guys have heard by now that they named their person of interest for the killing of Brian Thompson, the United Healthcare CEO. His name is Luigi Mangione. I did a quick look through his Twitter to just kind of get a better feel on what may have radicalized him to do what he did. He seems to tweet a lot of tech bro stuff like Peter Thiel, Tim Urban. He also kind of follows a mismatch of different political accounts like AOC and RFK Jr. I would say politically he's a little bit difficult to pin down, but one thing that did strike me as odd is he reviewed the Unabomber's book on Goodreads, along with a ton of books on his shelf about healing back pain, which might be the reason he was radicalized. Being 26, he would be off his parents' insurance soon and would have to navigate the world of health insurance all on his own. I'm sure you guys have heard by now that they named their person of...
I've got 4 new updates for you guys about Luigi Mangione. The first update is that Luigi Mangione has a donation fund set up for his legal fees. Now, as you know, GoFundMe usually doesn't let you do anything if you're dealing with legal matters, but Give, Send, Go is another crowdfunding website, and supporters have donated tens of thousands of dollars to defense funds. Funds have surpassed $100,000 raised for Luigi and his legal bills. Second update is about his jail cell. So apparently he's in his own cell under maximum security. He is not under watch. He is also not in solitary confinement. However, he does not get to interact with other inmates. He is not said to have been violent in jail. Third update about Luigi that you might want to know is that yes, he is being charged with the unaliving of Brian Thompson, but it's not in first degree, it's in second degree. Now, obviously, they're trying to say that this was planned, so why not first degree? Under New York law, he's only charged with second degree, which carries a penalty of 15 years to life, by the way, because the tougher first degree charge only applies to a narrow list of aggravated circumstances, including when the victim is a judge, a police officer, or a first responder, or when the killing involves a plot for hire in the intent to commit terrorism. The fourth update is that Luigi Mangione now has a new lawyer. It's a really high profile and expensive lawyer, and I'm guessing that this was able to be retained because of these defense fund donations.
I don't think so. I think that lawyer would have did it for free. This type of publicity, come on now. Y'all got to remember who we dealing with when we talking about lawyers. These lawyers, come on. They'd have done that. The publicity that this is going to get, and I'd be surprised. I doubt they let cameras in the courtroom whenever this does decide to go to trial. I doubt they'll let cameras in the courtroom because this is going to be huge. Like I said, it's done it's thrusted the whole healthcare debate back to the forefront, and boy, is it being talked about. It is everywhere. You hear me? Everywhere.
And another reason people are celebrating is because they don't understand corporations. I stand by that. And I'm not saying that I support how every corporation is structured or how every corporation makes money. I'm saying that those decisions don't fall on the singular CEO. The CEO is not the only one profiting off of this. The CEO is not the only one making the decisions that drive that profit.
And we're not celebrating the fact that a rich person was killed. Like me personally, I could care less if a person is rich. Hell, I would love to be rich one day. We all would. You see, when Jeffrey Dahmer had his skull bashed in prison, we celebrated. When Ted Bundy and John Wayne Gacy were executed, celebration. You see, not all serial killers wear glasses like this, have creepy porn stashes, and drive a van. You see, some serial killers don't even lay a finger on their victims to kill them. You see, some serial killers sit back and relax in some big fancy office, profiting off of our suffering from our family members dying. So perhaps if maybe we had free healthcare, or at least affordable healthcare, perhaps if less of us were dying of, chronic illnesses or the fact that we can't get surgeries and...
Yo, him in them glasses right now, I've been trying to hold it, man, and be serious, but him in them glasses right now is got me going, bro. And he's right, man. You listen to other countries, bro, with free healthcare, man, it makes you want to move. It makes you want to... It does, man, because healthcare, you feel like it should be free, man. Like, help, like, I'm asking for help for my life. I'm not doing this because I want it. You know what I mean? I'm not talking about the ones who just are out here just wanting the drugs and stuff like that. No, I'm talking about the people who actually need it for their life to continue on, you know? Like, you get jealous of some places that have the access. Or even if it's not free, you go to some places and it's minimal cost.
And people like this CEO who was gunned down actually pretended to even give a shit about us as people. Maybe, just maybe, we would give a shit about them. But the truth of the matter is, and the Joker, from the movie Joker was right about this, basically. If we were lying in the street dying, these CEOs would just go, oops, sorry, bud, and walk right over us. Got to get to my big fancy board meeting so we can talk about how we can bump up the prices of life-saving medicines or, things like insulin. Or maybe they'll talk about how we're going to not pay for all of the anesthesia during your surgery. Hey, bud, wake up as we're sticking this scalpel into your chest. Maybe we as people would care more. But as it were, that's not the case, so we don't. Anyway. Basically what I'm saying is people like this Brian Thompson, these healthcare folks, they're basically just serial killers in suits. Serial killers who make billions of dollars, sitting in some chair that probably cost them $13,000 because it's made of gold. So basically, if they're just going to walk over us as we're dying in the street, hypothetically, we're just going to walk over them. Ultimately, that's kind of what this is about, from my perspective. In terms of Luigi Mangione, well, as they also say, not all heroes wear capes.
We do have some more breaking news to report on the shooting suspect in the United Healthcare CEO's murder there in New York City now over a week ago. I'm talking about 26-year-old Luigi Mangione. And remember, we had been documenting and telling you some of the writings that he had penned and mused about taking on corporate America here. I want to put up his mugshot. We brought you this earlier tonight, that the man there, you see, Mangione, was never a client of the medical insurer, and he may have targeted it because of its size and influence. So that was confirmed by police today. The NYPD chief of detectives, his name Joseph Kenny, said as much in a local news interview on NBC New York, that investigators uncovered evidence that Mangione had prior knowledge that Brian Thompson, the CEO, was holding its annual investor conference in New York City with shareholders. But Kenny said this, quote, "We have no indication he was ever a client of United Healthcare, but he does make mention that it is the 5th largest corporation in America, which would make it the largest healthcare organization in America." He says, so that's possibly why he targeted that company. Well, we now have confirmation from said company, United Healthcare, in a statement to Fox News Digital. I want to put this up here. So they say this, confirmation that Brian Thompson's killer, they describe him as a killer, was not a member of United Healthcare, saying that the shooting suspect, Luigi Mangione, was not a client of United Healthcare. They say, we continue to grieve the passing of our dear friend and colleague, Brian Thompson. They say today we are confirming that the killer and his mother were not United Healthcare members. So that is significant. There was a lot of rampant speculation at the time that is presumably what may have motivated Mangione to do this. But we are learning from United Healthcare themselves, saying we are working closely with law enforcement officials who continue their investigation of this horrific crime. They say we continue to support those who depend on us for their health care. So confirming tonight that both Luigi Mangione and his mother were not clients of United Healthcare.
So earlier today, I was reporting outside these prison walls when all of a sudden I heard my name, and I couldn't tell if they were, catcalling me or heckling me or even saying my name whatsoever. And so I started reporting on Luigi Mangione's prison conditions as I was finding them out. And as soon as the live shot was over, that's when I turned around and they said, the conditions suck. And so that was my confirmation. Oh my gosh, they're watching News Nation at that very moment. Look over my left shoulder up at the top of this prison wall, see through a window and see that your face is right there. They're watching Banfield at this exact moment as they promised they would.
Can I ask you a favor? Can I just ask the guys if they can hear me right now to answer yes or no very loud? Does Luigi have television in his single cell? Obviously, we have a little bit of a delay, but they're getting they're getting the questions and they're giving us the answers. So Luigi does not have. Wow, this is quite something. This is the strangest interview I've ever conducted.
Well, yeah, I'll say just about an hour ago, I was there inside that courthouse watching as Luigi Mangione walked right past myself and a number of other reporters. He was wearing a blue shirt, blue jeans. He was, of course, handcuffed, and he looked, even in this court appearance, visibly distressed, but he kept his brow furrowed through the duration of this arraignment hearing. And I should say what was
So what type of effect do you guys think this is going to have on the healthcare industry? Or will this not slow down or stop anything and it'll continue business as usual? Do you think any changes will come down the pipeline or not?
Interesting, though, Aaron, as you said, we haven't heard a statement from the suspect. He did actually speak inside of that courtroom to the judge and to all the folks who were in there, but it was on very selective issues, and I'll just kind of go through what we heard. The judge asked Luigi Mangione a number of questions, first about his identity. So Mr. Mangione confirmed that that is his real name. He initially said that his residence was in Maryland, but then the judge actually pressed him on that, and then he said, actually, I have lived at various addresses before then ultimately giving an address in Honolulu, Hawaii. Then he also said that he has worked for 3 years as a data engineer up until about a year ago, and he also told the judge that he has no drug or mental health problems that the court needs to know about. But Aaron, one of the most interesting parts of that particular hearing was actually his statements after the conversation about bail. The prosecutors basically stepped up there and made the case why they believe that this man should be held without bail. They mentioned that he is awaiting potentially an arrest warrant coming from New York City as one of the major reasons. But they also said that prosecutors noted that they found him with $8,000 in U.S. cash, $2,000 in foreign currency, his passport, and also a Faraday bag, which is basically a bag designed to stop transmission of cell service or other sort of things like that. At the end of his speech, the prosecutor's speech, Luigi Mangione said, I actually want to address two of the things that you said. He said, I don't know where that money came from. I'm not sure if it was planted. And then he also said that that bag was waterproof. And the term that the prosecutors used when discussing the Faraday bag, the ghost guns, the 3D printed silencer, was the prosecutors used a phrase saying this is criminal sophistication. Luigi Mangione said, I don't know about any of this criminal sophistication when addressing that. But it's just interesting, Aaron, that of all of the things that were mentioned in that court appearance, the two that he noted or took issue with was the currency and then that bag. Aaron? Well, yeah, I'll say just about an